All right, today's class, what we're going to be discussing is chakra-based yoga. So when we say yoga, as most of us have learned previously, but maybe not all of us, yoga is not just yogasana, which are yoga poses. So when we're looking at a chakra-based yoga practice, we're not going to be just doing asanas. We're going to look at all the other different aspects of yoga that can be incorporated into it. Everything from mindset to breathwork to yoga poses to more tantric type practices, which is subtle energy practices. So we'll be doing hand mudras as well as mantras, etc. So we'll be learning all of that, each chakra individually. But first, let's take a look at a chakra crash course and / review. Okay, so if it's a new subject to you, we want to take a look at the fundamentals. So the first thing I want to say is that anytime you're going to be practicing yoga, whether it's nice, feel good, chakra, asana, meditate, you want to make sure that you've received medical clearance. You want to make sure that the people you're teaching have signed waivers, have some sort of medical clearance, because breath work, as you know, if done improperly, can even cause a stroke. So I know everybody participating in here is of good health. Everybody online is of good health. However, that being said, remember, everything we're presenting here is educational, not a, all right, you better do 20 minutes of that pranayama, Cindy, or else. Okay, so make sure that you're fit and able to do it first. And I'll discuss in class if there's any contraindications or problems. Okay, so the first thing I want to go over is prana. All right, when we're talking about chakras, it's important to understand, why do we focus on chakras as a whole? When we understand them fully, we begin to go off of the concept that we are not just a physical body. This is an obvious thing. We're not just a mind. This is obvious. But we are a soul inhabiting a body made of Panchamahabhutas, 5 elements. Now, part of that interaction of our physical body, our mind, and our spirit has to do with prana. And where does that prana come from? If you've taken other classes, you've learned already that prana comes from the breath we breathe, right? Okay. Well, how do you breathe? You know, if you're an anxious type, you tend to breathe a little shallow, and we're not getting optimal prana. But we also get prana from the food we eat, as well as the quality of food that we eat. We also get prana from what we drink and the quality of what we drink. We have some doorbells ringing over there. All right. So when we take a look at that and we apply it to the chakra system, when we understand how chakras function, we understand that we may be receiving and processing optimal levels of prana or suboptimal levels of prana or abnormal influx of prana. Okay. So when we look at prana, what is prana? It is the energy, it is the fuel that keeps us alive. No prana, no life. Okay, but we can pretty much function off of suboptimal levels of prana, and many, many people do. So when we're looking at yoga from a chakra-based practice, we're looking at pranic flow through the body. Now, that being said, we know that prana can be blocked by physical trauma, physical tension, physical stress, mental stress, mental trauma, mental past, as well as what we eat, drink, how much we move, how much we breathe. So if we are not very active, the prana in our body becomes stagnant. If we have a lot of muscular tension and tightness, that tightness in the body blocks the proper flow of prana. And if you've studied some Ayurveda with me already, you understand that improperly processed or flowing prana creates abnormal vata. And Vata is responsible when you have pain. Most pains, not all. Okay. So that being said, we want to take a look at a quick crash course review on what's a chakra. Remember, it's not a chakra, it's not Shaka Khan. It is a chakra, like a piece of chalk. Okay, that's just Sanskrit nerdism over here. But a chakra is a wheel, or I like to call it a vortex. It's an energy vortex. So we're going to go over a little bit of how that energy moves into and through the body as a review, but each person has minimum 7 primary chakras, but there's way more than the 7 that we're going to learn. There are sub-chakras, and then there are branches of energy that bring that prana to the chakras. So we know through the study of chakras that each one emits a vibrational frequency. You can measure it in hertz, okay? Everything is vibration. Everything is vibration. I say it again. Everything is vibration. Your body is a vibration. Your mind gives off vibration. The thoughts you have are vibrations. And it's up to you how you manipulate or control your vibrations. Okay? If you're not aware of the fact that you can manipulate it, then you're out of luck. You're just a victim of your own circumstance. Or at least that's how I see it. Okay? All right. Now, when we take a look at the chakras, we understand that they're not these isolated individual vortexes. Like, there's my heart chakra. It's all by itself, functioning all by its lonesome self. No, it's a huge dynamic, energetic play within the body. Okay? It's not just one chakra is moving one direction and that's all it does. They all interact. So we don't want to get pinpoint focused in on just one element of a chakra system. We want to look at it as a broad-based overall system. So for instance, you wouldn't just say, well, I'm only unhealthy because I have a heart problem. You might have to look at the kidneys too. You might have to take a look at the musculoskeletal system also, or the way the brain is functioning, to have a overall proper functioning physical body. Same thing with the chakra system. But with the chakra system, you got to track it all the way back to your physical body too. You can't just say, look at me, I'm doing energy work on myself. Ah, it's wonderful. There's way more involved in that, and you have to sink all the way down to your base body core level. So, you know, we all like to go to a chakra class and lay down and have some bowls played. And we're like, that was nice. That helps us, you know, come into a nicer vibration. But that's just the icing. That's the sprinkles. There's work to be done to keep the chakra system fully activated or most optimally functioning. So let's go ahead and go to the 5th slide. I do want to talk about, real briefly as a review, some of you it might be new, some of it it's just review. The prana enters body. So we talked about how it enters through food and water. We talked about how it enters through breath, but how else do I get prana? We have, remember, if you've taken this similar classes, we have 72,000 minute channels called nadis. Nadis are what allow the influx of prana to your body. Now, if all your 72,000 nadis are wide open and beautifully functioning, but you walk around in life like this, tense and stiff physically and emotionally, you're blocking the flow of that prana once it reaches your internal system. So just because it's flowing in doesn't even mean it's flowing properly or in a healthy pattern. So we want to always keep that in mind. Now, we know that the prana, once it enters, where does it go? Does it just go straight to a chakra? Well, it's a complex system. It interacts through the panchakoshas, the 5 layers of the body. It interacts through the central canal, the right and left canal, which we'll touch on and review again briefly. And it also radiates through the entire body and the chakra systems, not just the 7 that you typically hear about. Like, for instance, we have a chakra that's underground, the earth chakra. All of you have one going on right now, whether you're aware of it or not. So how can it be that my prana, like, do I have underground dwelling prana? Well, technically, yes, because the Muladhara chakra goes all the way down into the earth. So when we start looking at our physical bodies and our existence in a more complex way, we can make more complex, for a lack of a better word, manipulations of our existence here. Okay. All right, let's talk briefly, a review on the Panchakoshas. So we understand we have a gross physical body. Gross physical body, but we have a lot of layers outside of that. A lot of times we go to the doctor, we want to be healthy, right? We want to be healthy. And they focus mostly on the physical body. Let me check your BUN, your creatinine, your kidneys working good. Let me check your, different liver enzymes. Yeah, you're functioning well. I don't know why you don't feel good. Well, because there's a lot of other layers. And again, I'll say I felt ripped off in medical school that I didn't get to learn about these subtle bodies and these different ways that the body functions. Everybody should be aware of it from grade school and up, really. So we have 5 layers. The Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha. Okay, some of you, this is review. Some of this might be the first time you've heard of it, and that's great to me. So we have the Annamaya Kosha, which is your gross physical body. Your gross physical body is not in check and in decent order. Prana is not going to flow properly, period. Then we have the Pranamaya Kosha, the breath body. We need to have the breath body functioning optimally, or prana isn't flowing inward or through us properly. So those of you who have taken full pranayama classes with me, you understand that the autonomic nervous system is dependent on proper breathing. Our emotions dictate the way we breathe oftentimes. So here I am, I'm mad, right? My autonomic system says, whoa, something bad is going on out there. I don't know what's happening, but we need to maybe secrete some epinephrine or norepinephrine. I think we might be about to throw down or run. I don't know what's going on. Based off the way you're breathing. Doesn't matter what the external stimuli is. Your body only knows what you're doing inside. So same thing if we're a constant worry wart and we're like this, I'm so nervous. The body translates that into the limbic system and will cause constriction in your flow of prana because it thinks something really bad is about to happen. So we want to look at the way we're breathing for our overall health status. Now we move outward into the Manomaya Kosha. Manomaya Kosha deals with your mind, manas, your brain. What are you thinking? How are you processing? Are you always thinking, woe is me, doom, 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 doom? If you're always thinking that, how's that going to affect your entire physical functioning? It changes the way your entire system functions. So we need to select our thoughts appropriately because thoughts are vibrations. Okay? Then we have the Vijnanamaya Kosha. We're moving more out past the subconscious level of the body. This is where we start getting into the yummy practice of Tantra. Tantra, remember, is not the strange, bastardized version of sexual energy work here in the United States. It's been mutated. Tantra is anything that affects the subtle body. Color therapy, sound therapy, chanting, mantras, aromatherapy, etc. Okay, Reiki. So when we're looking at the Vijnanamaya Kosha, we know that it's being affected by subtle changes, including things we may not be aware of, like EMF. Okay? Including outward energies moving in that you may not be even aware of, or you might be aware of them, which is great. And then you move out into the Anandamaya Kosha, and now we're just talking about floating around the cosmic bliss and full connection with the universe, that kind of thing. So, anyways, so let's move into looking at once all this prana moves in through our food, once it moves in through our proper selection of liquids, exercise, etc., it begins to be distributed or available for distribution. So we have 3 channels to review or maybe new to you. So the central canal, your pranic channel in the central canal, where the bulk of prana transfers from the base chakra system to the top chakra system, is called your sushumna. And you hear people say, oh, I've got my kundalini rising. Is that astrology? What's this kundalini rising business? Basically, it is your collected, gathered, stored potential prana moving from your lower chakras to your higher chakras. But it's also coming with what we could call upgrades in your operating system, okay? So if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, was anybody able to read the article that I wrote in the International Ayurveda Mantra magazine? I did a cross comparison to human psychological development and the chakra system. So I touched briefly on that article about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if I'm out by my work in San Bernardino and I'm homeless pushing a shopping cart, I'm not really interested in perfecting my throat chakra, right? My entire understanding of existence is based off of not getting jacked on the street or freezing to death. Now, once you move out of that core Muladhara base chakra and you start moving up the scale of survival or up the scale of evolution, personal evolution, spiritual evolution, your entire existence changes. You no longer think or feel the way you felt when you had no shelter over your head. So when you start working on chakras, many times people will relate to you, like, my whole existence has changed. It's like I'm in a different matrix. And we need to understand that that is a shift not only in the Manomaya Kosha, but the Vijnanamaya Kosha and the Anandamaya Kosha. It's as if somebody took your hard drive and updated it to something new and gave you a new set of glasses. So when you start working on yourself or other people in the chakra system, the goal is to raise and use that kundalini energy. And you have to start with the physical body, the breath body, and then you will have enough pranic energy in your lower chakras to move it upward. Okay, that's going to move upward through the Sushumna channel, and it moves. It's on there. So Sushumna is Sushumna. So we also have an interplay between the right and left channels. So the Sushumna is the center channel. The right and left channel are called the Ida and the Pingala. Now the Ida, we're looking at the left side. But if you look at the pictorial representation of it, it looks like a caduceus. It starts at the bottom and it travels up and crisscrosses where the chakra systems are on the spine, the major chakras. And it actually terminates, quote unquote, terminates. It doesn't completely terminate at the left nostril. The Ida channel, if you're familiar with it, this might be a little bit review, but it is the female or feminine. Now, that doesn't mean I'm a lady. It's female. You could be a man and be feminine. It is the yin, the creative potential. It is the channel of the body more associated with the moon and a cooling energy. Whereas if you flip over to the right side, you have the Pingala channel, which also crisscrosses across each chakra and then ends at the right nostril at the top of the third eye. Okay, because you know your nostril here is all up in this nasal turbinate and it stops at the third eye. So the right channel, the Pingala, is associated with male energy, masculine energy. It's associated with the sun or heat. So when we're studying Ayurveda, we also want to take a look at that interplay between heat and cold within the body and ensure that we're not pitta aggravated and all overheated and sweaty and cranky and crabby, and that we're not too cooled out and chill. There needs to be an interplay balance for all of these channels to operate correctly. Now, I do have people who have had problems with nasal deviation. So I've known several people who were doing chakra energy work and maybe they had a busted nose or they had chronic allergies and polyps and their sinuses were obstructed or partially obstructed. Does this make a difference on how much prana you can move and how you move it? Well, you know, I used to think, well, you know, maybe it's not that big a deal. Oh, no, it's a huge deal. The people who I have known who went out and had their issue corrected, whether it's a deviated septum or a polyp or a cyst in their nose, afterwards, their chakric development skyrocketed afterwards. So being able to breathe through your nose properly does make a difference on how you are accumulating and able to process prana in your body, or at least from what I've seen from people who I knew who were saying, I'm trying to do the Nadi Shodhana, it's not working, I'm going to do a different breath technique. They had it fixed, and then all of their chakras became differently aligned for the better. Okay, so we also want to just take a quick look, crash course on what are the chakras. We know that we have 7 primary ones that are typically discussed. If you start at the very base of the spine, at the tailbone, we have the Muladhara chakra, or we call it the root chakra. If we move up from there below the belly button, we have our Svadhisthana. If we move a little higher up above the belly button, we have our Manipura, and we'll talk about each of them in a little more detail as we touch on them. A little higher up, we have heart chakra, Anahata chakra. A little higher up, we have the throat chakra, the Vishuddha chakra. The third eye chakra, Ajna, A-J-N-A. And then the top crown chakra is our Sahasrara chakra. Now remember, when we're looking at the chakra, it's not like this, ooh, little tiny chakra working like this. No. It's all the way forward, all the way sideways, all the way to the back. If it's a base chakra, it's flowing all the way down into the earth. If it's the crown chakra, it's flowing all the way up and beyond our concept of physical construct, or where we think our physical boundaries are. Okay? All right. Any questions on just that portion?